Welcome back to Afternoon Live. September is National Breakfast Month, and our next guest's new book has treats to kickstart your morning. Here to share his recipe for spiced apple scones, we welcome back the author of Fast Fix Baking, Hart Hoffman. It is so good to see you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back celebrating this very delicious month.
Who doesn't love breakfast any time of day? I think breakfast for dinner is one of the best treats of all. So what a great way to celebrate.
You know, when I was growing up, my dad would always ask my mom, is it a breakfast for dinner night? And I kept thinking as a kid, like, this isn't my favorite thing, but I learned quickly the way to his heart was to make breakfast for dinner. So I know there's a big crowd out there.
It's not a bad place to be. Tell me about the recipe that you have for us today.
So speaking of fast fix, this is one of those breakfast items you can make when the craving hits and the flavors are just perfect for the season, like these spiced apple scones. So everything comes together so quickly, and I've already gotten a head start here in the kitchen by combining my ingredients with the flour, the sugar, the baking powder, baking soda, but I added a spice that I love to use with apple, and that's Chinese 5-spice. So you're getting the warm notes of cinnamon, star anise, Szechuan peppercorn, and fennel, which seems a little unusual, but all brought together here with apple. It is such a good ingredient for making these scones. And then I've got salt, of course, and the baking soda. Then we get to some more good stuff, and who doesn't love butter, right? So I am finishing cutting in the butter. So this is cold butter that you want to have distributed throughout your scone dough, but you do not want it to be melted. So I'm just breaking it down into these small, like crumbly texture. You really want to get that butter broken down so that the flavor is evident. It's getting the right fat throughout the scone, and everybody loves butter, right? Then let's get into the season here. We've got some finely diced firm sweet apple, and I'm using Honeycrisp apples. They are really, really nice in baking. You want to use an apple that's going to hold its shape and it doesn't become too mushy. So when you're adding apple, make sure you're using one of the good baking apples, and I really love to use Honeycrisp. So you can just see here getting it nice and distributed in the bowl.
Brian, I love Honeycrisp too. I feel vindicated. My husband and I have apple wars at the grocery store. I always buy Honeycrisp. I'm with you.
Thank you. So the Honeycrisp crowd, we're celebrating today. This is what it's all about.
It's perfect.
And then we can celebrate something else. Who doesn't love heavy cream with vanilla bean in it? So here's where we're going to get some really nice flavor, some nice, I think of it as such a luxurious thing to work with the heavy cream and vanilla bean paste. And then you just stir gently from here until you have all of this dough brought together and you don't have any pockets of the wet ingredients. But you can see just how quickly this is stirring together and why it can be on the table before your coffee's even cold in the coffee pot. You know what I mean?
I am loving this. It is coming together right before our very eyes.
All right, then you need to put a little bit of flour on your counter. We don't want the dough sticking, but then you're going to take the dough out of the bowl and we're just going to quickly shape these into a nice round and cut them into scones. So you don't have to have a lot of equipment for this or the recipe. You can use your hands and you just press your scone dough together. It's meant to be a quick bread. It is very, I say, rustic. They don't look like dinner rolls or anything that have like a perfect shape or structure. And if you have any of those dry ingredients that fall out as you turn the dough out, just move them to the side. Then shape this into a nice round. And you can do this with your hands, no need for a rolling pin. And then bring in a knife, or I'm using a bench scraper. It's just a kitchen tool that I use a lot. And you're going to cut these into 8 scones. So at least the math is pretty easy when you're cutting something into 8. And then they do need to go to the freezer for a little while. This makes them perfect for make-ahead. You need to freeze them for at least 15 minutes, but you could do this the day before and be ready to bake them in the morning. So here you're talking about something even faster when you wake up and you want that breakfast item on the table.
Oh my gosh, you could just find your way to the fridge half asleep while your coffee is brewing and get them ready to get in the oven.
See, the weekend or any morning for that matter calls for ease and deliciousness like this. Then we're not going to stop there.
No.
After they've baked, they're beautiful. You could dive into these right now. They smell really good, but let's do a glaze. Let's add some delicious icing to the top. and then you're going to be ready to go. But this is just a heavy whipping cream with a vanilla bean and then a little bit more of that spice. So you're getting the warm flavors that work so beautifully with the apple.
I love that, and I love how you added the 5 spice in the recipe too. Kind of that well-rounded flavor where it's not overly sweet, but that little bit of sugar on top kind of puts it over the edge.
It's that, like, it's a hidden ingredient for me. I love baking with Chinese 5 spice, and it's always unexpected, but it works perfectly not only with apple and pear, but even if you had cranberry and orange with 5 spice. Like, those flavors just work so well. It's kind of that, like, surprise people with it. They're going to think you're going to say cinnamon, and you're like, oh no, this is even better than that. I've got Chinese 5 spice in there.
I love it. I'm getting so excited for all of our fall ingredients and warm and cozy recipes. It was great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me back. I can't wait to bake with you again.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. We'll see you very soon. We'll have this recipe and more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.